Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on the video as always. If you haven't guessed already, we're in Glenfeshie for the weekend. I'm just out with Luke again, who was in my video a couple of videos ago. It's pretty mild, it's maybe 7 or 8 degrees at the moment, but we're due some heavy rain later on, which will be interesting. And it could go down to 0 tonight. Yeah, I was out in Glenfeshie the same time last year and there was about a foot of snow and it was just the perfect day. There's no snow today at all. Like I say, it's very mild. There's not even that much snow on the hills, to be honest, and a couple of these hills are my nose as well, so they're quite high. But we're going to walk all the way to the end of the glen, camp in the same spot I did last time. It's quite a nice spot under the mature pine trees there. It's about 8 kilometres overall from the car park in, so it's not a huge distance, but it's quite a nice walk. Food wise, Luke brought along a couple of British Army 24-hour ration packs, so that's going to be all our food and snacks until tomorrow, so that'll be interesting. I've not tried that before. I'm sure it'll be fine. I've just got the MSR tent with me this time. It's actually been a while since I camped in just a normal tent. Hopefully this one doesn't break like last time. And I've got a new sleeping bag to try for Derek, so we'll see how we get on with that as well. But yeah, it should be good. If that sounds like something you want to watch, stick around and enjoy the video. So yeah, we're slowly making our way into the glen. We're almost at the Bothy, but just came off the main path for a couple of minutes to show you this hillside. And when you reduce the deer numbers, this is what can happen. It's absolutely thick with juniper regen, which is something you don't see much in Scotland. You see all the way up the hill. And there's Scots pine regeneration as well, under the mature pines further away there. And you know, restoring woodland doesn't have to be wall to wall mature trees. It can be this kind of open woodland, but it just gives you that kind of structural diversity for different species, niches for, you know, different insects and birds and that kind of thing. Yeah, we're just making our way slowly into the glen. It's still dry. It's actually quite nice. The sun's out and it's mild, but not too mild for walking. But yeah, we're just coming up to the Bothy. I think we're gonna just stop for a while at the Bothy and have some lunch. It's just coming up to 12 o'clock.
Cookies? Did you get cookies? Chocolate orange cookies as well.
That's just left the Bothy after lunch. You can probably hear the winds picking up a wee bit and the rain's starting to come in. Couldn't really film in the Bothy because another couple came in and would have been a bit awkward.
Yeah, we're not a couple though.
So another couple of people came in, not another couple. So yeah, we're walking out beyond the Bothy now, and yeah, we'll get to the camp spot, and if the rain's coming in, we'll get set up pretty quickly, and just so we've got some shelter if the rain keeps getting heavier. So yeah, we're at the spot. Just gonna camp over here. Don't know if you can see Luke. I think he's just gone out of the shot. But yeah, we're up the far end of Glenfeshie. I think this is probably, I would say it's the best part of Glenfeshie. Just the best kind of most natural feeling sort of pinewood remnant. There's as you can see, there's trees all the way up the slopes. Massive Scots pine in here, loads of juniper. It's just a really nice spot. And we're able to camp right by the river as well, which is handy. So we've got a fresh water source right beside us. Not going to have a fire, not in a place like this. I don't really care what people say. I just don't like it. Even when it's kind of wet in this time of year. Yeah, just don't want to be hacking stuff down, having a big campfire. I do have my bush box with me, so we might just have a wee controlled fire in the evening, but nothing too serious. At the moment it's feeling quite mild still. I think kind of from 6 o'clock onwards the temperature's supposed to drop quite rapidly, but we should be okay. But yeah, we'll go get set up and get settled in. Instant coffee from the Ration kit. Absolutely disgusting. You can probably hear the wind and the rain. It's coming in again. I'm so glad we've got this tarp. It's pretty miserable. But what a difference just being a little bit sheltered in terms of keeping warm and dry. We've been setting up the tents in between the showers. I'll turn you around. Yeah, Luke has set up his little Van Gogh one man there. and the MSRs over the back. Gareth doesn't really care what the weather is. We're going to set up the bush box here and have a wee fire. I think we need to now for morale. And there's some roadside or trackside regen that's been cleared, a load of birch. So Luke's taken some of the sticks and made a tripod and a withy. So we'll hang that over the bush box later on. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting night. Right, hopefully you can hear me over the wind, but this is something new that I'm trying. The strip, it's a sleeping bag for Derek. He's getting a bit older now. He's 9 years old, and I've been looking to get him a sleeping bag for sort of colder weather, just for comfort. And yeah, I was looking at different ones, and then on Instagram, Kaz from Bark and Ride Sports contacted me and asked if I wanted to try out their new sleeping bags for Derek, which I said absolutely. And the good part about Bark and Ride is they're based in Aviemore, so they're a Scottish company, a small company, and you know, happy to try out their gear and you know, promote the business. Had a good conversation with Kaz. Really nice person. Really enthusiastic about her business and her customers, you know, enjoying her products. So yeah, it's basically as you would expect. It's just an insulated sleeping bag. The material, it's not quite like my sleeping bag. It's more robust, and as far as I know, it's machine washable. It actually zips right open, so it almost turns into like a insulated blanket if your dog doesn't want to be like zipped in. But yeah, it's pretty good. I'm very pleased with this. I think Derek's gonna like it as well. Yeah, we're just gonna have dinner. We're having the second meal out of the ration kit. The food's not actually dehydrated, so you just use the boiling water to actually heat up the food rather than rehydrate the food. There's about 4,000 calories. 4,000 calories in a full 24 hours. So 4,000 calories for 24 hours, and a mix of like sugary drinks, hot chocolate, snacks. Like I got cookies and a vanilla cake in mine, and then sort of 3 main meals. It's about 6:30. We're just about to have this dinner. It's really nice to have the fire on, even though it's a small fire. It just psychologically, it just makes you feel warmer. The rain's kind of stopped, but still quite windy. But you can kind of feel the temperature dropping a wee bit now as well. But yeah, we'll eat this dinner and get warmed up a bit, and yeah, we've got some whiskey and a bottle of port as well.
just the one bottle.
Which is helping to keep us warm too. Right guys, it's just past 9 o'clock and we're in the tent. Derek's in his new sleeping bag. Had a good evening, but yeah, the wind just didn't let up, and pretty chilly too. So we lasted as long as we could. We just had the fire in the bush box, which definitely made a difference, and having the tarp for shelter. I think if we didn't have the tarp and the small fire, yeah, I think we would have just been sitting in our tents all evening. But yeah, that's pretty much it really. I'm gonna get in my sleeping bag now. Like I said, Derek's in his, and yeah, we'll see you in the morning, and we'll probably get some breakfast early, have a wee fire on the bush box, get packed up, and make our way out of here. But yeah, for now, good night, and I'll see you in the morning. So we just got the bush box back on. It's a bit chilly this morning. I've got a wee keyring temperature, what do you call it, thermometer. And it was saying -1. There's a few wee pools by the river that are frozen, so you can feel it in the air that it's definitely cooler than last night, but also slightly less windy than last night as well. So we've got two meals left in the ration packs. Luke got muesli and I got an all-day breakfast. So what we're going to do is we're going to share both of them, so we'll have a bit of each, and yeah, we'll get some coffee going as well. It's not the best looking all day breakfast, but it's tasty. Right folks, I think that's us. We're nearly packed up, just clearing up the fireplace. It's a really nice day, chilly, but the sun's out, nice and dry. So we've just been wandering around, enjoying the morning, had some coffee. But yeah, we'll finish tidying up here and walk back out. Just walking out the exact same way, so I won't be doing much filming. But yeah, if you want to stick around for Forest Thoughts, I've got a podcast I want to talk to you about. I'll say a little bit more about Glenfeshie, and I maybe have a bit of a rant as well. So it's got a bit of everything. Yeah, we're just getting rid of these rocks and things, so you'll never know we were here. But yeah, thanks again for watching the video. If you stick around for Forest Thoughts, I'll see you in a couple of minutes. But if not, we will see you on the next one. Hi folks, thanks for sticking around for Forest Thoughts again. Got 3 things I want to talk about. Hopefully it won't take too long. I know I always say that, but the first one is I listened to a new podcast this week. It's called the Rewild podcast, and it's been created by Rewilding Europe, and the host is a guy called James Shooter. You might know that name already. He does a lot of kind of media stuff around kind of rewilding in Scotland, and you know, working with Trees for Life and Scotland the Big Picture and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, the first episode is about Afric Highland. But in that episode, it's only 30 minutes long, but they actually give a very good, concise summary of basically everything I've been trying to talk about for the last year and a bit. So you know, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, I would encourage you to listen to it, because yeah, it really is just a nice, compact,
What's it called?
summary. Rewild podcast. So I'll
Yeah,
put a link
I
in
know
the description. But I think that actually each episode they're going to visit different projects that are being run by Rewilding Europe.
Ah, right. Okay.
So Afric Highland is their newest one, so they're starting with that. I personally don't have an issue with Trees for Life. I believe in what they're doing, but the PR side of things, a lot of their image is based on them being the kind of guardians of Glen Affric, and I feel that kind of comes through in the podcast episode. But Trees for Life don't own or manage any ground in Glen Affric at all. Most of the work that they've done there has been facilitated by either Forestry and Land Scotland, formerly Forestry Commission, National Trust, or there's been some work done on private estates. I just wanted to put that out there because it does bug me a little bit. I think a lot of people just believe that Glen Affric is theirs and they've been doing all this work, but there's a lot more good work that's been done by other people who actually own and manage the area. I'll leave that there. The second thing I wanted to talk about was just Glenfeshie itself. I talked in quite a bit of detail about Glenfeshie in my last video here, which was about this time last year, so I'm not going to go into that amount of detail again. But it's in the Cairngorm National Park. It's got, you know, important ancient Caledonian pinewood remnants. It's also an important part of the Cairngorm Connect project. Again, I'll put a link to the Cairngorm Connect project. I've talked about it several times. I'm not going to go over it again. If you're interested, the link is down there. But I just wanted to say in general that Glenfeshie is a very good example, maybe even the best example in the UK of what can happen if your management objectives are changed and how quickly you can see that impact. Like I say, there was existing fragments of woodland here, but you're really starting to see the natural regen fill in all the other areas now that the objective is to manage the deer for the benefit of the woodland and not for the benefit of, or just for the benefit of sport shooting. But I would also add that it's maybe not the best example. Glenfesh is a private estate. It's owned by Wildland. And yeah, it's maybe not the best example of what just your average private estate can do. And what I mean by that is that the current owner of Glenfesh is Anders Poulsen, who's multi-billionaire.
Yeah, there's a lot of money behind it.
Yeah, he's a Danish entrepreneur, and a lot of the work here is heavily subsidised by his fortune, and not every private estate could just decide to manage their deer for the sake of the landscape and survive.
It's quite important, it's not vilifying every landowner in Scotland, because some of it is quite impossible, economically. Because there is very, very little support out there for all landowners to do something like this unless it is subsidised privately.
So I think, as much as people want to say, oh, look what Glenfesh did, it's like, yeah, fair enough, but there was a lot of money behind it, still is. Even before Anders Poulsen bought the estate, deer numbers were incredibly high, and the owner then was struggling to make ends meet with that many deer. So to then start reducing your deer population dramatically and expecting a normal estate to be able to survive is just not possible. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. And the last thing is the whole leave no trace thing, which I absolutely agree with, but I feel like now we've almost got 3 sets of people using the outdoors. One set is kind of the militant leave no trace people, and they want you to kind of walk everywhere and almost do nothing else. Don't touch anything, don't move anything. Then you've got maybe the people like us who have the skill set to come out and do the types of things we're doing, but still be able to leave no trace. Yeah. And then there's a group in the middle which is probably the majority, that are kind of upsetting both parties. And as an example, they would come out somewhere here and they would maybe have the skills to light a fire, but not the full skill set of being able to manage that fire, understanding the impact it has, putting that fire out properly, and making sure there's there's no trace afterwards. And like I say, that kind of annoys people like us, because then we get lumped in with the same sort of group.
Because the Land Reform Act, Scotland is in this position where we've got responsible access to pretty much near enough all land across Scotland, and when groups like that come in, not really understanding, not really knowing what they're doing, completely irresponsible, everybody that uses that land gets lumped with that same label. Like the Loch Lomond in Trossachs National Park, there's certain bylaws in place now where there is no camping and there are no fires, and it's a real shame, because it's a gorgeous place to go and visit, simply from people who I think it's safe to say they simply don't know. That education isn't there, or they just don't care.
And I think with that, the sort of militant leave no trace group, that's kind of twofold as well, as that I can understand people don't want to see these places damaged, completely respect that, but I think at the same time it's also a lack of a kind of lack of skills to understand that you can have a fire and also leave no trace.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand how to do that, so therefore anyone else doing that is just, you know, damaging the landscape.
They're damaging it, and they're not. Yeah.
But even this spot here, I mean, we've walked out about 8 kilometres to the end of, you know, Glenfeshie, and where we were camped, there was maybe 4 or 5 fire pits, you know, charred circles with charred wood in it.
Yeah.
So people are coming all the way out here. They obviously know enough to get a fire going, but that's kind of where it ends. And there's almost that attitude of, well, we're not coming back either, so someone else can deal with it. But it's really frustrating when you make the effort to come out to these places and you just see a mess.
Agreed.
But anyway, that was the 3 things: podcast, a bit about Glenfeshie, and then a bit of a rant too. Like I say, I'll put links in the description to everything we've talked about. But yeah, thanks for sticking around, thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.